Hey, what's up everyone, Ollie here. So, iPad mini unboxing. This is the one I've actually been looking forward to the most, mainly because I'm actually quite a heavy iPad user myself anyway, iPad mini user. I use this a lot when I'm in bed reading stuff, watching stuff. It's nice having an iPad rather than using a small little phone. It's actually such a good reading tablet. You know, especially when it comes to reading stuff from Kindle or whatever. I really like using the iPad mini. So I've been looking forward to this new iPad mini ever since they announced it. I also have the smart Folio cover here as well, so we can go through that. And of course the Apple Pencil, because the Apple Pencil is supported on this new thing. So let's get into unboxing it. Interestingly, they've actually kept the plastic wrapping. I know on the iPhones, there is no plastic wrapping anymore. So I wonder why they haven't done it for the iPad as well. Okay, let's get into this thing. It's so small. It already just feels and looks so small. It's like handling like a big iPhone. Okay, we'll get to the iPad in a second. We'll look at what's inside the box. So we have USB-C cable, USB-C to USB-C because the iPad mini is now USB-C rather than Lightning like the old one. And we also have, I think it's a 20 watt power adapter. Let's actually box this up, put it to the side, like so. And we'll actually get into opening this up. So I have gone for the space grey as expected. I'm always into my space grey stuff. Let's turn it on first. So yeah, I mean, like if we put them side by side, you can see that the new iPad mini is actually, if I move this out of the way, we can see that the new iPad mini is actually a little bit smaller than the iPad mini 4. This is just booted up. So many fingerprints, but yeah. The thickness, I think, is actually the same. Yeah, I think it is the same, but there is a camera bump on this, which is actually raising the back a little bit. From here, I can feel that it's a bit higher on this side, and you can see it wobbles a little bit. But the thickness is pretty much exactly the same. If we look at them like that, it's funny because of the squared off design of the new iPad mini, it looks thicker when it's actually not, I don't think. But the bezels have obviously gone. There's two big bezels on this one, and we have the Touch ID button. We still have some bezels, which makes sense because when you're using an iPad, you're usually holding it with your thumb like this. So, you know, you need some sort of bezel to hold on to. Otherwise, how are you gonna hold the thing? Are you gonna hold it like that all the time? I don't think that's gonna be comfortable. I mean, I can hold it like that, but it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. It's much easier holding it like this, as if like it was a little book. So on the bottom, we do have a USB-C port now, rather than the Lightning port, which is obviously great to see. USB-C port needs to come to everything. And we have speakers all around. So we have speaker grills on the top, and we have speaker grills on the bottom. The Touch ID button has actually been moved up to here. So now the sleep wake button has Touch ID built in, which is just amazing. Like, I love Touch ID. I still prefer Touch ID over Face ID. I know the iPad Pros have Face ID. I would much prefer Touch ID because sometimes when I'm using my iPad Pro, I still have to angle it at my face to get it unlocked, which is just a bit of a pain, to be honest. The volume buttons have also been moved. So the volume buttons used to be on the right. Now they're on the top. Actually, I have it here as a demonstration. You can see the volume buttons are here on the right-hand side. So they've been moved to the top on this iPad because now we have Apple Pencil support. So this is for generation 2 Apple Pencil. I have one here, and yeah, it just attaches and it charges through there as well. That little pad there is for charging, and that's what charges the Apple Pencil. And I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty sweet. I think it looks really good actually. I think it looks really nice like that. This is a really nice setup. I can see this being a cool little sort of notepad or a drawing pad or something. Just being able to quickly draw something, quickly write something is pretty awesome. When it comes to the screen, this now has an 8.3 inch screen compared to the 7.9 inch on this. So even though this is smaller, the new iPad mini is smaller, it actually has a bigger screen as well. The resolution is 2266 by 14 88, which is around 326 pixels per inch, which is pretty good. It has a pretty high pixel density. Both cameras have also been updated. Now the rear one is 12 megapixels and the front one is also 12 megapixels, but the front one now gives you center stage. So when you're on a video call or something like that, it will focus in on your face, and as you move around the frame, it will automatically follow you around, which is pretty nice, especially when you're on video calls, Zoom calls or whatever. It's just a nice feature to have. I think one of the most impressive things actually is that it has the A15 Bionic chip, which has only just come out, and it's also in the new iPhones. It has the latest chip, which means it should be quite future-proof. I don't really see many people having many speed issues or performance issues for years to come because of that new chip. One of my favorite features is definitely the USB-C port. Because I like to take a lot of photos, being able to just hook up an SD card reader and sort of just import my photos straight into Lightroom on an iPad like this, I'll be able to edit photos on the go. I used to use my iPad Pro for that, but now I'm tempted just to use this because the iPad Pro is quite big. I have the 11-inch one. Having an even smaller tablet, I could fit this in my sort of camera bag, no problem, and use it as my editing machine. The USB-C port also supports external displays. Technically, it should support external displays. I haven't actually tested it yet, so you should be able to hook this up to an external display and have a full screen sort of view of the iPad, but it only mirrors what's on the iPad. It is not actually used as a separate display. It only mirrors what you see. So, you know, the aspect ratio isn't 16:9, so there might be black bars left and right. But yeah, just nice to see anyway. Apple are claiming that the battery life is now around 10 hours of video playback, which is okay for a device like this considering the size. I don't expect it to be as good as the iPad Pros, but for everyday usage and, you know, just plugging it in at the end of the day, I don't see that being too much of a big deal because it does just feel like a big phone, really. This new iPad mini also starts at $499, which is, it sounds expensive, but I think when you take into consideration the spec, the A15 Bionic chip, the new redesign, the cameras, the screen quality, everything about it, I think it actually does make sense. You know, it's one of those devices that, like I said, because it's got the latest chip and everything, it really shouldn't have too much of an issue lasting for years to come. I think if you're looking for better value, you are better off with the standard iPad, but the standard iPad doesn't have the latest chip, doesn't have second generation Apple Pencil support. Having second generation Apple Pencil support is pretty nice because when Apple showed it in the keynote, they did mention quite a lot that it was used by people in sort of professional industries, things like doctors and pilots. So I could see them using an iPad like this and having an Apple Pencil, being able to take down notes, being able to use it as a map or whatever else. That's definitely who they seem to be targeting. But when it comes to a machine like this, when it comes to an iPad, I think everyone has their own sort of use case. For me, like I said, I like to use it to read books, to consume media, especially when in bed, rather than having a big iPad Pro. I much prefer the size of the iPad mini. Another thing I also forgot to mention is that if you go for the cellular models, they do come with 5G. Again, another sort of way of future-proofing it. This iPad mini also comes in 4 colors. They have space gray, pink, purple, and starlight. And when it comes to storage options, you know, for $499, it only gives you 64 gigabytes of storage. Now, I feel like that is on the low end. I was hoping that we'd get 128 gigabytes of storage. That would have been much nicer. But again, for me, it's not really too much of an issue because I have a lot of stuff in the cloud. I feel like a lot of people these days have a lot more stuff in the cloud. I think it's worth going for the larger storage options if you're someone who likes to have a lot of media on their iPad. But it would have been nicer to see 128 gigabytes on the iPad mini. I also have the iPad mini Smart Folio case here. So this isn't anything, you know, industry changing, you could say. It's just a simple iPad mini case. So I've gone for the black one, and I think in black it's sort of like a matte black. It's quite nice, has a nice sort of rubbery texture to it. If we put it in the case, oh, it's just magnets actually. I've just realised. Yeah, it literally just attaches via magnets. There's no sort of thing it needs to fit into or anything. It just attaches via magnets, and of course you can use it as a stand, like so. You can also use it like this as well if you want to. So yeah, I think this is a pretty nice setup. It'll do a good job of protecting the screen, protecting the back of the iPad, and it also doesn't feel too bulky. I think it'll be quite nice just to carry this around and use it for the iPad mini. I'll be publishing a review of this. If you guys are interested, make sure to subscribe enable that notification bell. I'll be going through my experience and sharing how I use it, what I use it for, and what it's like to use. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and subscribe for more.